10 toes down, I'ma ride with the gang. My whole life I've been doing my thing. Get that money, ain't no thing. Anything I do for the gang. 10 toes down, I'ma ride with the gang. My whole life I've been doing my thing. Get that money.
Alright, you guys, we are on the way. North Carolina, here we come. We all packed up. It's a little dark, but y'all get it. Alright. Hey you guys, once again, this is Lady Will, and this is my all-female ride to North Carolina. This is our first multi-state trip, and we were so excited. If you're new to the channel, I recommend you go back and look at my previous video. So basically, my husband and I, we just started riding motorcycles maybe a little over a year or so ago, and we just going through our journey and letting people know what experiences we've been through and some of the things you expect if you decide to become a new rider yourself. Alright, for those that's been rocking with me since the channel started, y'all see something a little different, don't you? We decided to ride in the early morning, something we haven't done in a long time. In the previous video, I mentioned my first time riding at night and how I didn't like it. We've ridden once or twice before in the dark, but it was never more than about 10-15 minutes. So this was actually another first for us to ride in the dark for about an hour and a half. And it wasn't too bad. The only thing is I normally have issues with seeing at night anyway. So riding on the motorcycles, it didn't make it any better. In fact, it made it a little worse. That's why most of the time I was constantly opening up the visor so I can get the real-time view and not what's behind the visor. But other than that, it was okay. It wasn't too bad. Alright, so the route we took, we basically got on 280 to 80 to 185, going into 85, and 85 took us all the way to Concord. As soon as we got on to 85, right into Noonan, we ran into a bunch of traffic. And I must say, I was just not feeling it. We missed all the rain, and so the ground was basically wet. And so when we go to put our feet down, we was kind of slipping and sliding over the roads when it came time to stop. Something I didn't appreciate. And then right here, we're getting into downtown Atlanta. And as always, it's always some traffic right here. Even when we come in the car, this is the part where I particularly pay attention to what I'm doing, because it opens up to all these lanes, and then the people in Atlanta act like they have to go somewhere time now and be there right now. So being out here like this, I felt exposed. I felt like I was a child that ran in the middle of the street and just so unprotected. I don't know why I got that feeling. I've taken this road so many times before, but that was just a feeling that I got. I just felt vulnerable. So needless to say, we kind of pay extra attention. So I've heard the best lane to be in is the far left, the fast lane, if you will. And I will have to agree with that, because being in the left lane, the only lane you truly have to worry about immediately is the one directly to your right. Alright, so at this point, this was our first gas stop after we stopped at Cracker Barrel. I guess I got to do a better job at documenting the in-between, but I'm still fairly new to this. And once I got off the bike and we had been riding for 2 hours, I was tired, I was hungry, I was nervous because we ran into all the traffic, my feet were slippery, so I wasn't thinking about recording anything. I was just thinking about sitting down, getting me something to eat, and to calm my nerves. But at this gas station, like I said, this is our first stop. And the one thing that I kind of kicked myself in the butt is because we had to turn around. And you all know I'm not familiar with U-turns. I'm not comfortable with U-turns at the moment. But looking back at it, I just tried to find a spot to turn in and then turn back around. But looking at that part of the road, I could have made that U-turn had I just put a little bit more effort into it. But I was already in a position where I felt like I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know these roads, so I didn't want to further complicate things by overthinking or trying something new that I wasn't ready for. For my first gas stop, it was like an hour and a half before we crossed into South Carolina, and maybe another 30 minutes before we stopped here in Greenville to get gas. Now, this stop is rather interesting, to say the least. So once again, we have to find somewhere to turn around, all because I am not comfortable with U-turns. So this route took us kind of way out the way and brought us out on this double lane highway that we had to end up crossing. But the part that really kind of made me mad, if you will, is when we got ready to get on the expressway. Here we are crossing that double lane highway. All right, so we're looking for a clear path, and we found it. And I think we're in front of a truck. Yeah, by this time we are in front of a truck right now. And I'm keeping that in the back of my mind as we get ready to get on to this highway. So here we are trying to find a clear way in, when we realize, like, okay, those are those vehicles, and that car could have gotten over right there. But they decided not to, so I have to go on the side of the road until it's clear for me to go over. This car right here closest to me, he could have been got over as well, but I don't know, some people are dummies, and I realize that more so now. Alright, so the next thing that had my nerves all bad was the road conditions. I don't know what it is, but for some reason I feel like the slightest little mishap or the slightest little bump in the road, I'm going to come flying off the motorcycle. So I tend to try to watch the ground to make sure I'm trying to avoid all these little imperfections or whatnot. So I don't know. What are y'all recommendations? Anybody out there, new riders, experienced riders, what do you all do to combat this feeling of feeling like you're going to fall off your bike in the construction zone? Y'all let me know in the comments. at them beautiful ladies coming in. Look at them ladies. Alright, so this here we are lined up at the Harley-Davidson Speedway, Harley-Davidson, to go ahead and start our ride. I had taken some footage where I walked down the line and showing all the bikes that was out there, the Can-Ams and the trikes as well, but for some reason I don't have that footage anymore, and I believed I thought I saved it from my Instagram stories, but it didn't work out that way. So nevertheless, you're here seeing us lining up, getting ready to go on the ride. The only thing I didn't really care for is the briefing. We was supposed to be staggered, but as you can see, it was at times where we was riding side by side. And I didn't really care for that as much because, one, I don't know the young lady that's next to me and she doesn't know me. So for people to be riding side by side, I think you have to be familiar with who you're riding with. Other than that, and we were a little slower than I would like, but nevertheless, I had fun. I enjoyed the ride. It was the first female ride that I have ever attended, or big group for that matter. Okay, so yeah, y'all noticed the guy pointed something out to me before I got ready to pull off. I had my kickstand down, and then as I got ready to take off, I shut off. Them hills in North Carolina ain't no joke. I'm gonna tell you, every 5 seconds there was a hill. So needless to say, I had to do some adjustments, but I cut off a few times, but I ain't ashamed to say it because I'm all learning. It's still new, but I'm gonna figure it out. And when I do, y'all ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing. So I actually recorded footage saying that we was getting ready to head back home to Phenix City, Alabama. Shortly after that, we would learn the bike troubles we would face. And it started at the hotel with some throttle issues that he had got checked out at Speedway Harley the day before. Speedway Harley said they checked it out. They thought the bike may have gotten hot and they couldn't duplicate the issue. My husband actually rode the bike around for a little while, and the issue did not show itself until the following day when we got ready to pull out. So as we decided to go ahead and leave after the bike regained its throttle, after we shut it off and shut it back on a couple of times, we decided to go ahead and head home, but plan our routes where Harley Davidson would be. But our first stop, we didn't have any issues, so we pushed on, and that's when we actually started having issues, and that was the first time we actually ended up pulling over on the side of the road. A huge thank you to Philando for pulling over. We had heard that whenever you need help, you're supposed to put your helmet on the back on the ground, so that let other riders know that you need help. And he was nice enough to pull over, so we appreciate it. And not only that, he showed us how to reset the bike long enough so we can get home. And we really truly appreciate it. He wouldn't accept any money from us. He just said that, you know, if it was him, he would want somebody to do it for him. So once again, thank you, Philando. So we thought if we rode the bike for about 30 miles at 50 miles an hour that it would reset itself and come out of limp mode. But it didn't. After he got up to about 60, 65, maybe even 70, the motorcycle did it again. That's why we ended up pulling over a second time and resetting the battery. But we knew what to do at that point. So we went on ahead, reset the battery, and then we decided that we were just gonna go 50 the whole time. You know, the one thing that I found shocking and surprising throughout the process of us breaking down on the side of the road, at one point we was probably 80 to 90 miles out from two different Harley Davidson dealerships. I believe one is in Roswell that we called, and the other one was in Conyers. We called both of them to let them know that we were having issues and we was going to try to make it to them. But one said that they don't have any technicians on Sunday and that all they do is go pick up bikes for the upcoming services through the week. And the other one was like, oh, we don't know if we can squeeze you in. We can set you an appointment on Tuesday. And it kind of made me mad because I specifically said we are traveling, coming from South Carolina, trying to get back to Phenix City. And we just wanted them to see if they can look over the bike. Now, I can understand that if it need major work, then we will make a decision at that point. But the fact that I told them that we were having this issue and on the side of the road, and that was the response that we got for two different Harley Davidson, I must say I was disappointed because I was thinking that because we owned a Harley Davidson and they were a dime a dozen throughout any route, I assumed that if we needed help, then we can just go to any one of those and get the help. But it's okay. I realized real quickly that that's not always the case. And so now I have to adjust. But I must say it put a sour taste in my mouth. At the end of the day, we were able to get home safe. So that's all that matters to me. I enjoyed the female ride, and I can't wait to do it again next year in Fayetteville. And I'm actually looking forward to it. But like I said, we got home safely. That's all that matters. We initially started out at 6 a.m. and we got home right at 6 p.m. So that's it, you guys. To the next road trip, y'all lay around for it. It's your girl, Lady Will.